Out the printer. Nice and hot for you.
And the files?
Right here.
There's an awkward moment of silence. Tess stands excitedly in front of Josephine's desk as the senator continues to write. Tess clears her throat a beat.
Is there anything else I can do for you, Senator Levitt?
Josephine. Just Josephine.
Josephine?
No, not at the moment. Tess, just keep organizing those files like you've been doing.
Okay.
Tess goes to sit down. Josephine watches her, then continues writing. There is a long silence in the room. Tess flips through pages and staples each stack as she arranges it. After a while, the stapler gets jammed. Tess fusses with it for a minute, then gets frustrated and begins to hit the stapler against her hand and then the table. Josephine looks up, both irritated and bemused.
You know, I have so many more staplers if that one is continuing to give you fits.
Yes, but I'd like to try and make this one work.
Yes, well, you're giving me a tremendous headache with the incessant hitting.
She opens the door, gets another stapler, goes to the still distracted Tess and takes the stapler from her hand, replacing it. She goes to sit back down, irritated.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's so goddamn.
Ma'am?
Josephine goes and cracks open the window. She breathes into the air.
Oh, nothing. This room, it's so hot. It's always so hot. You'd think for a government building, they'd be able to turn down the heat for me.
Have you asked?
Yes.
Why won't they?
Because this building is run by men who've never experienced what it is to be a 52-year-old woman.
What does that have to do with...
Never mind. Menopause, Tess. I'm talking about menopause.
Oh. Perks of being one of the only female senators, I guess, you know?
Hardly.
Tess finishes her work. Josephine watches her intently, amused at her childish innocence and hope. A few moments go by, and Tess begins looking up and down repeatedly at the clock. It's time for her to go home. Tess gets impatient and finally begins to speak.
Senator Levitt? Josephine, it's 5.
I'm aware.
Well, it's just that, my friends and I...
Oh, you can't seriously be suggesting you leave before I dismissed you because you want to go out with your friends.
Oh, no, ma'am, it's just that,
You leave when I say you can leave. You may leave.
Thank you.
But don't forget to lock the filing cabinet when you're done and clock out with Marion.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Tess packs up her bag. As she's about to leave the office, Josephine stops her.
Why are you here, Tess?
Ma'am?
Why are you here in Washington?
To work for you?
No, what's the real reason? The deeper reason. What do you want to achieve?
Well, I'm a political science major. I want to get a first-hand look at how our government works, how it's run, how the sausage gets made, per se.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
I'm confused then. What do you mean?
It says here that you are studying political science and government with a minor in public policy at Duke University. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations. That's a great feat.
Thank you.
Certainly not an easy school to get accepted into. You must have worked hard to get there.
I did, very hard.
And you must have studied long hours and paid quite the price to attend such a prestigious school.
Yes.
So why?
Why what?
Why'd you do it?
I'm afraid I don't understand the question.
Why did you study all those long hours? Dedicate all of your time to making yourself the perfect candidate for entry into that place. What about that institution so enticed you that you'd be willing to give up your time, energy, Lord knows how many dollars, happiness, freedom, all for a school? A 4-year building where all you have to show for it is a $200,000 piece of paper.
Well, I've always wanted to go there. Ever since I was a little girl. My father was a lawyer in Charlotte, and when I was young, he would take me around to all of his in-state offices. One of them was at Duke. I fell in love with it then, and I wanted to go there ever since.
The government? Public policy? What drew you to that?
In 5th grade, actually. We went on a class field trip to DC, and we got to sit in the House of Representatives, and they let us play a simulated version of what it's like to really vote on bills and amendments and how it works in the government. And I just fell in love. I knew then that I had the power to make this country and its people better off. So I'm doing everything I can to get myself in a position strong enough to where I actually have some authority, some say in what happens to us in our future. And what place better to learn how to do that than at a place people will take you seriously and know you actually learned from? Duke. Simple as that.
So let me reiterate then. Why did you come to work for me in Washington?
I wanted to see firsthand what it was like to run the country. I wanted to see our real-life superheroes at work to make the world a better place to live.
Well, here it is. An office with no AC and 14 separate rusty filing cabinets. All the glamour a superhero could ever have. Happy to know what's coming?
Yes.
I'll give it time. That'll change one day.
Sorry. I hope I'm not overstepping, but I feel as if you aren't very happy in your line of work.
Well, I wonder what makes you say that. I've got everything I've dreamed right here in this 11 by 14 foot office.
I didn't mean to offend. I'm sorry.
I've got these, 2 picture frames on my desk. One has my cat in it that I only get to see when I go home in about 2 hours from now. And the other is of my son, Andrew, when he was 19. You know, it's a little old because I haven't gotten a new photo of him in about 6 years. Maybe that's just because I haven't seen him in 4. You know, I really should take some time off to see him. Oh, yeah. If I just wasn't so preoccupied writing up this draft form on the opposition to Bill 297B Senator Walker has brought to the federal legislation from Ohio. Well, never mind about that anyway, because at least I have this, a coffee mug that my niece painted for me when she was 3. Yeah, it reminds me of the 2 times a year I see my sister. Oh, wait, I don't. Because Rob from the 3rd floor broke it in the office kitchen and proceeded to throw it out right as I walked in to catch him doing it. Well, even through all of that, at least I have these rusty filing cabinets and creaky office door to remind me how much the government cares about the workspaces of its employees.
Senator Levitt.
And thank God for this goddamned air conditioner keeping me comfortable while I work on laws and bills that will possibly affect the future of 328.2 million people. I'm glad being one of the very few women in this line of work has at least garnered me that much respect.
A long beat. Tess is shocked and frightened by Josephine's emotional outburst.
I should go.
This place eats girls like you alive.
Excuse me?
Washington. It draws innocent girls like you into its clutches with its promise for power and change, and then just when the girl sees that she's in danger, it snaps its jaw shut and consumes what's left of you.
Not always.
Yes, it does. Always. You remind me so much of myself. I was exactly like you when I was your age. Bright-eyed, eager, ready to stand up for her beliefs and make a change in the world. And I did it. Lord knows I did it. I got that degree on top of 2 more. Fought my way up the governmental social ladder, campaigning, voting, winning my rightful seat on city council, then the Virginia House of Representatives, then senator. Fought tooth and nail against any man who saw my sex as weaker and my opinions less valid, and I did it. I won. 30 years of crying myself to sleep and kicking as hard as I could to reach the top and make that change. And in all those 30 years of fighting to get here, what did I have to show for it? Oh, sure, I've helped make changes. I've passed laws. But I was so busy trying to advocate for America, for the lives of millions internationally, I never even stopped to see if I was advocating for myself. And I paid the price for it. A broken relationship with my family, a son who I haven't spoken to in almost 5 years, walking testosterone and rage for coworkers who break my property, and an office that's too small and too hot. So Tess, don't ever call us superheroes. Because at the end of the day, we're nothing but empty shells that Washington has spat onto the ground. We're weaker humans than you could ever know.
Josephine.
And one day this town will finally take all it could from me. And I will die disheveled and soft.
Josephine turns around to avoid Tess saying her about to emotionally break down. She stares out of the window. Tess, moved by Josephine's words, slowly puts her bag down and sits down.
You're wrong about me, Josephine.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. I think I know now by what you really meant when you asked why I came here to work for you. I said that my father used to take me around to his law offices and Duke when I was little, but I never said how long he did that. When I was 9, my father was killed in a head-on collision. The guy in the other car was on heroin and could barely even tell the officers responding his name. The guy in the other, my father lost his life that night, and the guy who took it ended up being bailed out, and the whole thing was called off. Turns out his father was a lawyer and had paid the judge to dismiss his case. Also, come to find out, the lawyer worked under my dad. I always say that my father had 2 killers that night, the guy that took his life and the loyal employee who took away his justice. I reeled for weeks. I wanted to know how and why the world could be so cruel like that. How 2 people could get away with murder and treason and never have to pay the price for it. I was ready to take revenge. I wanted to take revenge. I wanted to look into the eyes of my father's killer and see his life drain out of him like he had seen my father's drain out of his. But then my mother caught me and held me. She told me everything was going to be okay and that Dad wouldn't have wanted me to feel the way I was feeling. She told me that Dad firmly believed in getting ahead by starting small. I remember her exact words. Dad always said, Michelangelo never finished his sculptures in a day. He chipped away slowly at them, piece by piece. So in life, when a problem seems too big and too overwhelming to handle, remember just to work at it slowly. Even if you've only made some progress, at least you've made progress. And I took that to heart. So yeah, the following year in 5th grade, when I knew I wanted to create laws and work for a better country for people like my dad, but that isn't the underlying reason for me being here today. My dad is. What his philosophy in life is. Even if I never make it to Washington, I take comfort in knowing that in whatever I do to make this world a better place, it will be something. Even if it's just small. It's still something.
Josephine is lost in what Tessa said, amazed at her wisdom at such a young age.
I see that you're disillusioned with your work and fed up with being treated like a second option when you've worked so hard to make the changes you have in the world. I see that, and I'm so sorry, Josephine. But maybe if you just take Dad's advice and you start small, you'll find that after a while you've done something very big for yourself.
Tess gets up, packs up her bag, and opens the door.
See you tomorrow.
She shuts the door. Josephine is left shell-shocked. The next day, Josephine stumbles into her office with her papers and files in hand. She realizes that it's freezing in the room. She goes and puts her stuff down on her desk and immediately puts on her sweater.
What the hell?
She steps outside her office to where the thermostat is. It's been bumped down, and on it, a sticky note.
I saw Marion at the front desk and she called for a few people for me. You have AC now. It may be a small token of my appreciation for all you've done for me, but it's something. Remember, start small today. You can do it. You can make a better life for yourself like you've done for so many other people. Tess.
Josephine, stunned at Tess's kindness, steps back in her office, stares at the note for a bit, then rushes over to her desk and sits. She picks up the phone and dials. Someone picks up.
Hi, Andrew. It's Mom.